things will never be the same. Because the hierarchy of power in the
Disney live-action universe
is about to change.
Moana is the latest addition to the Disney live-action slop universe. Whether it's Rock's acting or new versions of the songs, whether it's the washed-out colors or the terrifying CGI, everything is competing here with each other to be the most lifeless and boring experience possible. It was the most painful 1 hour and 55 minutes I have ever spent in cinema watching a movie in English. So here's the list of things that I did while watching this shameless monstrosity. 47 times I yawned. 14 times I said, "Shut the fuck up, Grandma, I'm sick of you." And 23 times I looked around making sure that, yep, it's only 3 people in the cinema including me, and the other one is a couple. Meaning I'm the only one who is actually watching the movie. Fuck my life. My legs were shaking with temptation to just get up and leave. But I kept remembering that I must sacrifice myself and suffer through it so you don't have to. You're welcome. Have you seen those videos of people who are reacting to something funny and they laugh so hard that they almost fall out of their chair? I usually thought that that's just an exaggeration, like nobody can laugh that hard, until it happened to me while watching the trailer of live-action Moana. I was already in stitches looking at Rock in this ridiculous hair, but at the end of the trailer, you know, when she suddenly goes, "I am Moana," I lost it. I was laughing so hard that I physically slipped off this chair and had to balance myself. The trailer was that bad. You also have this epic thud when Moana hits butts with her grandma. Masterpiece. Then the terrifying Tamatoa. The trailer was a goldmine of garbage. So I was already interested as like Disney finally did it. They made something so trash that it's hilarious. It actually wasn't, but more about that later. Another thing was that until this point, I had never seen a Disney live action before. The only one I saw was Alice in Wonderland, the first one with Johnny Depp. That was also because I was just going through a Johnny Depp phase. These movies look like crap because they are crap, and morally I am against them, so I never watched them. However, now that I'm trying to make talking about movies my profession, this seemed like a great opportunity to make fun of how Rock looks, and at the same time shred these movies to pieces and tell you guys that, hey, don't watch this movie sucks. I think all of us know the plot of Moana at this point, right? So I'll be quick. See, Moana is a story about a girl who gets manipulated into taking care of an entire village. She also has this annoying father who loves to punish her for the mistakes he made when he was young, and he refuses to communicate, consistently keeping her in a state of anxiety. The only person who actually supports her is her grandma, but unfortunately grandma is on drugs. So she tells this little girl that, hey, go on this dangerous journey and fix the mistakes of a literal demigod so that you can save this village. So she goes on this journey and has to put up with this demigod who is extremely arrogant narcissist full of himself. But thankfully, despite multiple gaslighting attempts by said demigod, Moana chooses to believe in herself with the help of her ghost grandma. She restores the heart of Te Fiti and saves the ass of her entire village full of useless adults. Now, Moana 2 is exactly the same movie as Moana, bit by bit. However, they added some useless one-dimensional side characters and added some cool creature designs, tricking you into thinking that you watched a different movie, while in reality you just watched Moana for the second time. And Moana live-action remake is, well, it's a literal official remake. It's a shot-by-shot recreation of the first movie, and the few things they did try to change actually make this movie worse. So same movie, but far worse experience. Bravo, Disney! Also, the sequel was actually supposed to be a TV series, but because Wish bombed, Disney decided, you know what guys, we immediately need another billion-dollar hit. So they turned the TV series Moana into a theatrical movie, putting an absurd amount of pressure on people who were working on the movie. Fuck you, Disney, for that. See, at least with something like Lion King or Lilo and Stitch, you're taking a 2D material and turning into something photorealistic. So, you're presenting something visually different. Does it look 100 times worse and lifeless? Yes. Do I hate it? Yes. But it looks different, especially for normies who still think that 2D animation means something for kids, and if it is photorealistic, now it is serious adult stuff that I can watch. For them, it is enough. Moana doesn't work on that level. First of all, when you go from photorealistic 3D movie to just live action, the difference is very minimal. On top of that, the entire movie Moana is just a goddamn sea. The movie has only two human characters for the most of the runtime, and everything else is CGI. Ocean CGI, chicken CGI, the little pig CGI. Even Maui, who is a human character, turns into animals half of the time. So the Rock as well is also, CGI half of the times. So when you watch this movie in cinema, you just realize that, oh, I'm watching a girl walk around in CGI environment for 2 hours straight. And sometimes Rock appears in a very unenthusiastic way. I am sick of being forced to watch movies in 3D. See, in my city, whenever these big studios release movies in 3D, they only release it in 3D. So if I want to watch Moana in English, I don't have a choice. Same thing happened with Supergirl as well. Like, they just don't release the 2D versions in English. They might do it in one cinema which is in very sketchy location and has a screen barely larger than TV at my home. So it's worthless. So now I have to watch this dull colored lifeless movie with 3D glasses on top, which make everything darker. And 9 out of 10 times they're full of scratches, most likely because a kid was wiping his nose with it. I got so sick of it after a while that I just started raw dogging this movie without the glasses. I was like, screw it, I'll have a little bit of headache, but at least this way I can see what the hell is going on screen. Because during night scenes, when you wear 3D glasses in this movie, it is impossible to see what is going on. Even the objects that are supposed to be glowing in the dark and be bright, they looked dull as shit. And all of this for what? Just so that Disney can charge me a little bit extra for a ticket which is already ridiculously expensive? Screw Disney and screw every studio that forces me to watch their stupid, dull movies in 3D. Screw you, Supergirl. See, I've never been a big Rock fan. The man basically plays himself in every movie. We all know that. But at least this guy used to be charismatic. I have many memories of watching, early Rock movies with my family in the living room, and they enjoyed it. And I think Rock is perfectly serviceable actor for normies who are not that much into Sannaima. He gets the job done being this macho, charismatic man on screen. But in this movie, Rock just looks like he wants to die. The man looks like he's speaking all the dialogues at gunpoint. Even in behind the scenes promotional material, the man has no energy. All the fake smiling, all the forced enthusiasm is just so obvious. Is this what happens when you keep working just for the sake of making money and never do anything creatively fulfilling? Yes, this is what happens. Even look at the posters. In the poster of original Moana, look at Maui. The man looks like a menace. He definitely looks like somebody who will pick fight with the gods just for the sake of it. Now look at Rock in the live action poster. The man feels like he might mildly annoy the gods over the weekends if he has free time. Sad part is that he actually did a really good job voicing Maui.
The second I took it, I got blasted out of the sky and I lost my hook. Get it away from me.
And his singing was also pretty fun. I love the welcome song. He put in a lot of energy in that character. And I think part of it reason was that he knew that he won't be appearing on camera. So he allowed himself to have a little bit of range. But in live action, he's back to being this concerned guy, who always has to look perfect in every shot. And that's why he's like, all of the expressions are very limited. And Maui, yes, technically he is thousands of years old in the movie. He looks young, he looks powerful and energetic. Rock in this movie looks like he needs to drink some coconut water and get bed rest for a couple of weeks. It is astonishing just how charisma-less Rock is in this movie. And same goes with most of the human characters as well. Like, I think because the way they were given directions, they seemed way more concerned with looking like their animated counterparts rather than actually exploring the characters by themselves as actors. Every line delivery, all of the expressions by human actors, they just feel so flat and lifeless. The only exception to this, thankfully, is the lead girl who is playing Moana. I think she does a very good job and she is just pushing to her full capacity, trying to make every scene as interesting as possible. But all of her effort is not enough to carry this sea of garbage. See what I did there? Like, the movie has sea and I called it Sea of Garbage. Please don't leave and watch the rest of the video. See, we all know that this movie actually is the shot by shot remake of the original. However, Disney wants you to think that no, it's not exactly the same. We actually changed things around here and there. We actually improved some of the stuff and whatnot. And because of that, they make so many unnecessary changes in this movie, which makes everything much worse. Look at the songs. Every song is exactly the same as the original movie, but it is re recorded. And I'm musically illiterate, so I don't know the technical terms of it, but the instrumentation or how the delivery of some of the lines are done in the song, they sound off. Like something feels wrong about it. It is actually impressive how just by making small changes to these songs, Disney managed to remove all of their charms. And it sucks because as a guy who generally hates musicals, I love songs from Moana. I think they're very fun, catchy, and entertaining. Shiny has to be the most favorite Disney song ever, I think. Let's put it like this. If this movie came out today by itself, without having any animated movies before it, and Disney just released it as an original movie with original songs, these songs would not become iconic. If people heard just these versions of the song for the first time, they won't love it. With the jokes, same problem, right? Like they wanted to keep the same jokes, but change them somehow. So what did they do? They ruined the timing of every single joke. They just stretched it out for far too long, making it unfunny. Like, remember that joke where Moana gets really upset with the sea and says like, fish pee in you?
Fish pee in you all day. So,
I think that is my most favorite moment from that movie. That is hilarious, the way line delivery happens in the original. That entire part is completely butchered here. The way the line delivery happens with an unnecessary pause, and then Moana adds more lines to it like fish pee in you and other stuff. Like, that's by the way literally what she says. And there's also another scene. Remember where Maui uses Moana as bait when they meet Tamatoa, right? Like she's wearing this glittery stuff and she's extremely unenthusiastic about it. That was funny because it was a snappy little exchange between Maui and Moana, right? They have quick little banter and then Tamatoa wakes up. But now when the same thing happens in new movie, they just stand there like idiots and keep going back and forth, completely messing up the timing of the joke. And now apply same logic to every time something moderately funny happens in original movie. Stretch it out, make it unfunny. The editing of this movie also seems a lot more hyperactive compared to the original. I think it is more closer to Moana 2 than it is to Moana 1, which breaks my heart considering, we already have attention span issues, and this hyperactive editing just makes attention spans even worse in kids. Now I want to do like a more in-depth comparison of specific scenes from this movie to the original so that we can understand, how this movie fails at being a movie. Remember in the first movie when Moana learns about her ancestors, she becomes kind of overly excited. She loses her patience and she runs into middle of her father's meeting without caring who is there or who is not. She talks with her father in front of everybody and says that, "What the hell, dude? We were voyagers and we're not doing that anymore. Are you insane?" And that creates a lot of tension between Moana and her father. It shows that how confident she is, how passionate she is about all of this stuff. And the thing is, Moana does it in front of everyone, but her father, when he scolds her, like he does it out of the room. Like we cut to the outside and Moana's father is upset with her. The new movie does not get this scene. See, here, Moana, after learning about her ancestors, goes to the meeting, but she stands outside. And then she carefully uses some signs from the distance. It's like, "Hey, Dad, come outside." And then her dad comes outside and they have a conversation about it. It completely changes Moana's character and how passionate and excited she is. It's a very small example, but when this happens with every single scene, it multiplies into a torture. Another one happens when Moana falls down into the cave of monsters, right? So first of all, there is no longer any climbing. See, in the original movie, when they go to meet Tamatoa, Maui and Moana, they have to climb up really high. It makes the scene visually very interesting, and it gives them opportunity to have some decent conversation. They'll keep learning more about each other. And then finally, when Moana goes on top, we get rewarded with this really nice view of the sea. And then they enter. When Moana falls in that, if you remember, she first encounters one monster, then she runs away, then she encounters another monster, and then she calms down a bit. It very quickly gives you an idea what kind of world it is, and it is just gross enough, right? So the kid goes like, whoa, that's gross, but it doesn't traumatize them, but it gives them an idea that, oh, this is a pretty terrifying world. Now let's look at what sequel did here. First of all, there is no climbing anymore. They just enter some jungle-like location on an island, and suddenly on the ground there is the entrance. They don't have any long proper conversation, and she just jumps down. Not just that, but in sequel, when she falls down, she doesn't encounter a monster, then run away from it, or none of that. She just falls down, and that's it. And this moment made me realize just how corporate friendly this movie is. They have removed anything that is remotely weird, and in doing so, they completely removed entire ambience or the creepy factor of that world of monsters. Same thing happens when medium changes. See, in Moana, especially in the welcome song, the movie goes from 3D to 2D. They show you different varieties of animation, visual styles. It looks very fun and interesting. But when live action tries to do the same, they just don't know how to combine these 2D scenes with the real life footage. It just simply does not work. They don't know how to do it. Remember when Kakamura shows up, right? Like, they take this chalk and paint expressions on their face. That is a hilarious gag. It looks funny, it is exaggerated, how quickly it happens, and it gives them so much personality. That little but very important portion is completely gone from the remake. Here, Kakamuras just show up, entirely removing that little laugh you get every time they show up in the original movie. We have the same problem with tattoos as well. In animated versions, contrast is high, colors are popping. So when you have this little tattoo guy on Maui's chest, right? And when things move around on his body, it looks visually appealing. But when you take the same concept and try to apply it on a real life actor on a very washed out dull movie, it doesn't work. And I'm not sure, but I think they also reduced the amount of tattoo animations that happen compared to the original movie. Maybe because they realized, that it doesn't look that visually interesting, so it's better to have less. And these are the small changes that I was talking about, which they kind of forced in just for the sake of making this movie a little bit different. But every change makes the movie less interesting. For this one, I don't have any words. So I will try to recreate the same face I made in cinema when Tamatoa shows up in this movie. There was not an exaggeration, by the way. What kind of drugs are they doing in the Disney business department that they approved this monstrosity of a design? It's hilarious. Like, on one hand, they keep trying to sanitize their movies, to make it as business friendly, corporate marketing friendly possible. But then they end up approving things like this. The kids are going to have nightmares after looking at this Tamatoa. And it's not just the design, the entire experience, the way he is presented, it is straight up a horror movie. And I think this was the only moment this movie kind of became interesting to me. Not because it was good, but it was something worth noticing. I was like, wow, this is horrible. And as I already said, they ruined the joke that happens with him. They completely ruined the songs by making small changes to it throughout. And even his dialogues no longer feel fun because they are all modified and rewritten to be more appropriate for live action. Like, after looking at Tamatoa in this movie, his awful cameo in sequel seems like a masterpiece. See, when I was watching this movie, I thought, wait, why didn't they just mix Moana 1 and Moana 2, the animated movies, and then created a live action version based on that? Because that would improve the plot. That would also create a product that actually doesn't exist. And it will give the Disney adults an opportunity to go out and waste their money. And it's much easier to market because now you're trying to sell something that is technically new. It also gives you more human characters. So, the live action version feels more live. You can also combine creatures from both of the movies, making this movie more visually interesting. And while doing so, you can also improve some of the mistakes of the movie, right? Like, you can improve the pacing of Moana 1. You can make better use of the characters of Moana 2. But why not do any of that? And then I had the horrifying realization that wait, it's Disney. Of course they're not gonna do it. They only adapted Moana 1 into live action because they probably think that they will make a live action version of Moana 2 as well. They just looked at how Moana 2 made $1 billion, then Lilo and Stitch live action also made $1 billion. So they simply thought that, oh, math checks out. Moana live action part 1 will make $1 billion. Then we will turn second movie into live action and that will make $1 billion. Easy money. Too bad for them that Moana live action is bombing like a mother. I am so glad that this movie is performing like trash at box office. Finally, people are making better choices. I saw Moana 1, Moana 2, and live action Moana, all three of them in span of 24 hours. And for the sake of mental health, I will not recommend this to anyone. It basically feels like watching same movie 3 times in a row, but every time the iteration keeps getting worse. When I saw the ghost grandma for the third time, I wanted to commit acts of violence. I was in rage. The effort it took to stay in cinema and actually finish this movie. I just felt so depressed and beaten up watching Moana return to her island for the third time after finishing some stupid problem solving in middle of the sea. And let me remind you, I was going through all of this while wearing stupid 3D glasses on top of my real glasses. Disney somehow has managed to create something so pathetic and soulless that even their hardcore fans are not interested in it. When I gave my money at the ticket counter, it felt like I was giving away my money to the literal devil, because I think I probably was. So of course, after suffering through this movie, I do not recommend this movie, even when it comes out on streaming, okay? If you really love Moana that much, just go and rewatch the original movie for the 7th time, as you were going to do anyway. I don't recommend this movie to anyone except to the people I hate. Hi, me from the future here. So I'm done editing the video and it made me realize that I can actually make this video a bit more productive. So instead of a yapping session, today I'm gonna recommend you 3 different movies that you can watch instead of this abomination. First one is a French movie called Little Amélie, or The Character of the Rain. Yes, they're using 2 different titles at the same time. I don't know why these indie movies make their already difficult lives more difficult. But regardless, the movie is amazing. I saw it a couple of days ago and it really moved me emotionally. It's a story about a Belgian family living in 1960s rural Japan. I mean, that's already enough to sell you. But the story follows a little girl who believes that she is a goddess. It has all the characteristics you can imagine from a, cute countryside Japanese slice of life-ish anime. The movie looks gorgeous. The animation style is very interesting. Like in wrong hands, this style can easily look very tacky, but thankfully it is clearly handled by people who really love the medium. The use of textured outline combined with this beautiful character design is just mwah. The second one is Mars Express, another French movie, but this is completely different genre. Now we are talking science fiction and cyberpunkish. And even though this movie has a lot of action, it is very grounded in its presentation, nothing over the top crazy. And because it is a science fiction cyberpunkish movie, it has all the tropes about, artificial intelligence and what it means to be human. But what makes this movie amazing is the angle it goes with. It offers you something fresh and interesting to chew on. The story is about 2 lead characters who start by investigating a murder which leads into, this rabbit hole of something much larger. And as you can already see, the movie has gorgeous animation and some very nice world designs. It has been a while since I saw this movie, but I remember I saw it in English dub and that was perfectly fine. I didn't have any big issues with it. Some very high quality filmmaking on display, so if it's your thing, check it out. And also it has some mildly NSFW stuff, so you're warned. And the last one is the most popular of three, so you might already know about it, but it's called Mary and Max. It's a stop motion animation movie from Australia. It is kind of a depressing comedy where this old man and this little girl, they exchange letters with each other. With this one as well, it's been a while since I saw this, but I remember the movie can be very gloomy at times. It can feel seriously depressing, especially the world design is very dark and broody. But I remember the movie had an optimistic undertone to it, so you're not in for just hardcore depression. So that's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching all the way through. It means a lot to me. I will see you next time. Until then, goodbye, take care, and have some fun with fiction.